Hey traders, Raghee here. And in this update, we're going to talk about a day trade that we took, the only day trade that we took this morning in the S&P, focusing on clarity the first 2 hours of the morning. And ultimately, the plan was to look for buys mostly in the S&P and in the Dow. And the reason for that is that right here, the S&P and Dow were sitting on their 10-day VWAPs, while the NASDAQ was below both the monthly anchored and the 10-day VWAP. So there was better structure on the daily time frames of the ES and the YM, the Dow and the S&P, looking for opportunities to get long. Now remember, I'm not really interested, nor do I really care about what happens after 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I'm focused on 9:30 to 11:30, and I'm focused on the morning session. So that takes us from the daily, where I was looking to buys, and over to the 5 and 2 minute. All right, so as we take a look at the morning specifically, you might say, well, where were the opportunities to do anything to the long side in this market? And it happened really early. You know, again, when I talk about getting in and getting out, we did so quite early. We were done by basically 11 a.m. and that suits me just fine. Again, bias to the long side. So the setup, and let me walk you through setups. Very seldom is there going to be a buy now, sell now idea. It's going to be, what am I going to do when price reaches a certain level? So we wait for the pitcher to throw the ball. We determine if it's a pitch we like, if it's in our personal zone, and then we swing. And so the price triggers are letting us know what is actionable for us. So we had an entry zone that takes us from 38 to 33.5. So it's a 4.5 point zone. And for some traders, trading the ES mini or the micro is fine. And for others, they'll want to do the ETF. So let me show you the way that I did it both in the futures room and the way that I did it in the sector room. So I day trade in both rooms, by the way. Just two different asset classes, if you will. So the futures version is sitting in front of you right here. But keep this in mind, and this is really important. The triggers in the ES are the triggers to buy the calls in SPY. So it's not as if there's a whole different setup, a whole different set of levels for the S&P futures versus ETF. Again, the buy was happening in this area here. And then we just took it to the upside, paid ourselves, and that was all she wrote. You can see the targets in there as well. And we actually had a second target we were looking at. We moved the first target to 47.25 based on value area high. And then we had a second target at basically 51.75, which we hit, and then 54, which I do believe eluded us. So the higher 54 target just never got there, but 51.75 did. All right, so that takes us through the futures, but every one of those triggers also allowed us to buy the 443 SPY August 18 calls. So in that same zone of entry, you can go with the SPY. And then as we hit those same targets, you're basically taking profits on the ETF. So I think, again, ETF and futures, we're going to use the futures to guide the setup and the triggers, but this is where the choose your own adventure comes in. So in the futures room, I'm trading the futures. Now, I personally will be in a mix usually of both. If I'm in ZB buys like we are right now, I'll be in long ZB and I'll be long TLT. If we're playing gold, I'll be in GC and I'll be in GLD. If we're in crude oil, I'll have USO calls and I'll have CL futures long position. So it's not unusual for me to play both. But I'll play the futures from the more conservative zone and usually smaller compared to the options in the ETF, which because of cost and latitude to handle the trough in the zone, I can play larger and I can play more aggressively. So that's another great thing about having this type of approach where you can combine the approach. But again, in the sector secrets room, we went with the SPY 443 call, and in the futures room, we went with the S&P September ESU 21 contract. And that's the way we did it. This was a classic HPMR V-score low. You can see the V-score showing us the signals here. There's a V-score signal, Darvas signal, HPMR zone, and that was the morning. But I think what I really want to relay is the fact that you can choose your own adventure. You don't have to go with the S&P mini. You can go with the micro. You can go with calls on the S&P futures. You can go calls with the SPX. You can go calls with the SPY. That's the choose your own adventure part of it. I'll see you in the next update. Hey traders, Raghee from Simpler Trading. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. And remember, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll get notified of the next update. And when you're ready to join me for live trading, be sure to head on over to simplertrading.com. I'll see you in the next update.